Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I am Piglet here once again and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more of Let's Play of Yoshi's Crafted World for the Nintendo Switch. So, last time, I believe that we did manage to able to first visit this particular world, Origami Gardens, if I recall for that pronunciation with that specific world, by the way, and we did manage to able to beat the first level on that particular world. In addition with that, we also managed to able to gather the final few smiley flowers during the majority of the Big Paper Peak world. Specifically this part, not that part, because then again, we'll discuss more about it until whenever we continue proceeding for this Let's Play in general. So, yeah, today for this episode is the fact that we might actually, just to consider this right about now, we might actually go ahead and wrap things up with this specific world, while going through not only with the forms of the this level that we might actually hop onto, and is once again the special kind of levels, which appears to be Monty Mole Be Gone, and hopefully we might as well able to gather the rest of the smiley flowers in the entire world. So hopefully that makes the case, so yeah, let's hop into this particular level, so... Okay, if you can't tell already from that different angle right there, this is my, I would say, attempt number 3 on this specific stage, because as you can see, just like the forms of Go-Go Yoshi, is that we need to requires specific amount of points until you're able to get yourselves likely not only 1, not 2, but 3 of those smiley flowers in order to actually just to able to complete this particular level. So yeah, as a result, the main emphasis on this particular stage, as you can see, first off, the entire stage is completely auto-scrolled, and also same applies to the forms of how the fact that, well, as you can tell, we need to kill a certain amount of multi-moles and able to actually just make it count as in the forms of the actual score tally, because again, in order to actually 100% for this particular, well, just trying to complete this stage in general, is that not only do you need to able to gather most of these collectibles and keep yourself alive as in no damage department, mainly with the forms of the health count, and also during the forms of finding those, couple of those smiley flowers. I think there were about 7, or in this case, well, 4 in the actual regular platforming state, and then you have to collect 3 of them based off the forms of the higher score. But the ones we need to aim for is of course 75 points. And then also as a result, not to mention about the fact that I did say this before, this is an auto-scrolling level, so as a result, this level can get pretty slow, which I think that could be also same applies to most of those auto-scrolling levels coming up, which similarly to say about the fact that these levels are personally is probably me, well, when it comes to auto-scrolling levels, these are my least favorite, because, well, I can assure to you because of how the fact that these particular segments, I think it might not contain any of those checkpoints, if I recall, unlike in the regular levels for sure. But as a result of that specific stuff for that matter though, there's not much else we can able to actually just to expect that, so... But yeah, you probably get the idea for that little specific stuff worth mentioning though for that specific matter. So yeah, a few things we want to explain about this actually, while this particular stuff has been happening. About the fact of the matter is though, that today's day is the forms of the 20th of February today in 2020, so you know what that means. We got multiple 2s, which there are, well, obviously 20 as in the 2 at the very beginning, and February still because this is the 2nd month, and finally with double 2s and double 0s. So yeah, that's pretty cool with that specific date in mind. So either way, there's a lot of discuss we can able to discuss upon, unlike the forms of how it does it in yesterday's video. Well, at least we did manage to able to actually mention quite a number of things during the forms of yesterday's video, due to the fact that with the new color for the Nintendo Switch will be on its way on Japan and North America, and well, despite the fact that we still have no luck onto it in the forms of in our PAL territories, which I'm assuming that it might actually release that eventually at this point. So yeah, here's the thing about this specific discussion for today for this point. Oh yeah, by the way, in order to actually just to double your score count, yeah, you have to keep an eye on with the actual big multi-moles, because that way it'll give you 5 points every time you kill them, whilst the forms of the well, specifically these normal Monty Moles, as you can see, it obviously just only gave you 1 point. So, yeah, self-explanatory and all that stuff, but then again, the criticism with this stage, on the other hand, though, to me, though, is the fact that I feel this level is kind of slow at points, probably because, you know, it's just an auto-scrolling level, so yeah, there's not much else to speak of. So anyways, that pretty much takes care of this particular level right there. I do apologize for that specific background noise you're going to be hearing, probably because of how the fact that Duffy has managed to able to clean up this entire house at the moment, so as a result, I must admit though, I do apologize for that, but you can still hear the actual game audio very well, so yeah, as a result of that specific stuff though, not much else to really think of. So yeah, we did manage to gather all these smiley flowers on this stage now, and now we reach up to the forms of 120 of those smiley flowers in total so far. Although, we need to replay this particular stage over and over and over again, because unlike the forms of how it does it in Go Go Yoshi, that this particular stage, well, for Monty Mole's Be Gone, kind of special level, is that, well, I think when it comes to souvenir huntings and stuff like that, although I'll get to more details onto that until any moment, but first off, let's head back onto the forms of Spring Sprang Trail by going through not only for the flip side to able to not only find the Flutter sign, but also, well, we need to find all 3 of these, well, Pudgy-Pups, basically, so hopefully we'll able to consider this the actual main factor. I gotta say, this entire background looks really cool to look at, especially you can see the actual fence does manage to have the holes onto them, which I think is actually pretty cool, especially because that's how the Unreal Engine developer comes into play. So yeah, as a result, it is a gorgeous looking game, especially noticeable how every single environment of this game, kind of like how it did on Yoshi's Woolly World, except, well, everything else is all made of cardboards and stuff like that, which, you know, does manage to able to step up the presentation as a result. So, you know, you get the idea for that solution here, so... But I digress. So, yeah, there's a thing about this discussion for today's video for this point, as far as you're most likely already aware, ever since in yesterday's video. Remember what I said before about the fact that eventually we might actually get ourselves the new Nintendo Directs based off from Animal Crossing New Horizons? Well, that I did originally say from yesterday that we're probably not going to get it at some point this week. It turns out I was completely wrong, and nobody noticed about this ever since during the forms of, let's just say, on majority of Tuesday, specifically depending on the actual time zone, that no one expected to believe about the fact that we might actually get ourselves the regular Direct, or the actual Animal Crossing New Horizons Direct, which, at this point in time, today's the day is of course the forms of Animal Crossing New Horizons Direct, which, I was a little bit alright and such, but also disappointing at the same time. Well, let's be honest here, I'm not exactly a huge Animal Crossing fanatic, I have to tell you right away, although the only good thing about the actual game for me though is of course the visuals still look very good for the time, and also the actual simulator with all these real life environments with all these talking animals and stuff is actually cool concepts back in the forms of let's just say in the early 2000s, ever since in well, for the Japanese exclusive game on the Nintendo 64. But as a result, as far as later releases did manage to come by, although originally I was going to get the Wii installment, which is of course Animal Crossing Let's Go to the City, aka City Folk, on the North American release. But, however though, unfortunately for the sake of time, especially noticeable how the fact that for the Animal Crossing series I was a little bit too crucial about is the fact that it wasn't my cup of tea, unfortunately, probably because I did try one of those before for myself, but unfortunately it's not my interest, so as a result, I probably might be a little bit skeptical with that specific stuff. So either way, but at least we got ourselves the actual next Direct though, which is about time after a whole month since Pokemon Direct, and especially noticeable with some sort of a Smash Ultimate Mini Direct by the forms of Biolith. And yeah, speaking of which of Super Smash Bros. Actually, for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, although first off, let's talk about the forms of you never heard of our original Let's Play of Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64. That particular Let's Play that we did manage to already done that back in 2015. Unfortunately though, that particular Let's Play is no longer in our channel, most notably because, well, first of all, we might consider able to doing a redo Let's Play of that game again, but this time with the forms of a much more better emphasis on sound mixing, because although the quality itself looks pretty dang good, especially noticeable because we actually got ourselves the actual new capture card back in back then in 2015, and also just trying to celebrate with all these DLC content for Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U, as well as for the 3DS as a result as well. So we figure we might as well able to do the same thing here in the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC department. Well, at least the actual Fighters Pass 1 is already concluded, but even then, let's just hope if we can able to actually see some new fighters come in when it comes to Fighters Pass 2. So, hopefully we'll do the forms of the redo Let's Play of Super Smash Bros. Eventually, until whenever they're able to actually at least add something new to the table. Well, we might try to do that in May at some point, but then again though, it really depending on the forms of some other schedules that needs to be well, to be planning on, and especially noticeable that we need to able to get some of these Let's Plays finished before we're able to move on to the next, and also because we're still doing the actual week daily uploading schedule system, so as a result of that specific matter, it might take some time alone. So, yeah, talking of which actually, with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate also, that I will admit though right away, I accidentally saved from the likes of yesterday's video that I'm probably not going to touch that game for quite a while. And I will have to admit though, I am so sorry for that specific harsh pod right there, because I don't know what it is. It's most notably because, well, not just because of the forms of the lack of direction or something like that, which I have to be not to be honest with this particular point, but most notably because, as you can see, we are still playing through Yoshi's Crafted World. I keep saying Yoshi's Woolly World for some reason because of the actual style. Looks kind of similar, but it's not the actual made out of yarn or woolly or anything like that. So, but that I digress. So either way, yeah, speaking of the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, despite the fact that I've now actually apologized for that specific game once again, ever since in 2019, because of how the fact that there's not much anything else going on, apart from the fact that with the limited news updates on Yoshi's Crafted World and Luigi's Mansion 3 especially, it wasn't until in E3 2019 that we actually got ourselves some more details on Luigi's Mansion 3. So yeah, as a result though, that, speaking of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate actually, that, Sakurai did manage to say about the fact that, well, eventually at this point, especially because that we got ourselves Fighters Pass Volume 2, meaning that we get ourselves 6 fighters, as you already know. However though, at this point in time, that about the fact that Sakurai will no longer going to be able to supporting more fighters after the release of the forms of Fighters Pass 2. So as a result, well, we don't know exactly what the fighters is going to be, although it might be still in development for the sake of time. But then again, we'll see what happens until at some point in the future, most notably in 2020 for the majority of the time, and especially noticeable with 2021, which appears to be the 20th anniversary of Super Smash Bros. Melee whenever we get into 2021. At least on the GameCube's launch title and stuff like that, along with any other N64 games along with it too, which is of course Pokemon Stadium 2, and especially noticeable with Mario Party 3, and even Sonic Adventure 2 on the original Dreamcast release, and especially noticeable with other sort of games came out in 2001 during that time. So yeah, you most likely get the idea of what I'm going to say for this point right there, but even then, who knows, we'll find out at some point throughout, but then again, let's not get hopes up for this point right about now, so yeah, as you can see on screen, though I forgot to mention to you guys something about this, is the fact that recently I'm now selecting Pink Yoshi, because, well, of course I'm Piglet, so this means I am also in pink. So as a result, I'm might as well able to figure I might as well play as Pink Yoshi for once. So yeah, as a result, especially noticeable because I keep on playing as Pink Yoshi for some reason back in the forms of well, let's just say for the majority of these Super Smash Bros. Games, basically, from N64 all the way up to, you know, recently Smash Ultimate. So yeah, as a result, I keep on playing as him whenever I manage to able to join in the multiplayer aspect. Well, at least with Sonic back in 2008, with Super Smash Bros. Brawl back in the day, which I've no idea why I'm truly saying that right now, but I digress. Alright, so now let's head back onto this stage once again, but except this time we need to find some sort of a silhouette of some sort of an object, which appears to be, of course, you know exactly what I'm going to be finding, is of course the actual bottled styled house, which it might be not that hard to find, to be honest, for this point right there, probably because I know exactly where some of these locations are. So hopefully we might as well be able to find those particular other objects later on, but not now though, because we're going to be focusing on one thing at a time, and there it is just beyond in the distance over there. So hopefully we're able to find it for this point here, and boom, there we go. That means we've managed to accomplish that. So yeah, you get the idea for that. So yeah, let's talk about the forms of the most recent Nintendo Directs, or to be more accurate, Animal Crossing New Horizons Directs. Well, as I mentioned this before, I was a bit alright with this, but at the same time, a little bit disappointing at the same time, with a little bit more flawed ways, which I'll talk more about it. Well, until tomorrow anyway, on Friday, so that way I can able to get a lot more time to able to discuss upon things. But either way though, let's talk about another positive thing I can say about today. Now, or in this case, recently yesterday, after the events of my 6th part of this particular Let's Play so far. That's recently that Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 remakes, and also HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue has finally gets its release on Xbox One, without any sort of contemplations or something like that, but to be more accurately, come out of nowhere. And let me tell you right off the bat though, well, don't get your hypes on it just yet, because at the moment right now, although the actual game itself, whenever I looked at the gameplay footage of the Xbox One counterparts of the Kingdom Hearts games that we all know and love, it actually plays pretty much identically to the forms of how it does it in, well, the PlayStation 4 counterparts, but the only major difference now is the fact that, well, there are quite a few differences, I just realized, is that, well, first of all, the actual, the control icons is now being replaced by the Xbox One controllers, which I think is actually makes it a little bit obvious for that point, even though it almost kind of reminds me of, the actual Nintendo buttons, like the A, B, Y, and X buttons for some reason, except, well, obviously they're all in color rather than just a simple text white, unlike the forms of how it does it in Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, as well as Kingdom Hearts Recoded, and even especially noticeable with Kingdom Hearts 3D for the 3DS Dream Drop Distance. So, I don't know if that particular collections may able to get themselves the achievements or something like that, but I'm pretty sure it might actually still retains exactly the same achievements as in the forms of how it does it on the PlayStation 4 counterpart. But I really don't know about the HD cinematics or something like that. And as far as I've noticed already, is the fact that on the Xbox One version on Kingdom Hearts you know, Final Mix on the forms of Xbox One version, the theater mode is already unlocked from the start now, rather than just able to require the actual free download thing anymore. So relatively speaking, I should say, you should able to actually enjoy most of the cutscenes again, but this time around though, playing it on the Xbox One. And I think this might be also similar applies to 358 over 2 days HD cinematic, where you get yourselves the extra cutscene at the end when Roxas needs to fight against with Xion in the final battle. Spoiler warning for those who have not played the game or even just see the story throughout. So I just want to classify that. So yeah, it's pretty cool though to able to now finally get ourselves the Xbox One versions of the Kingdom Hearts games now, which means we got the third game, which is the most recent game of the bunch, and especially noticeable with the actual Remind DLC with that. Although, does it came out recently in the Xbox One or something? Maybe, I don't know. I just a little bit too much of a serious short-term memory loss syndrome or something. So, but then again, I'll research on that on my own time, and then if I get my cards right, then I will mention more about it whenever we're able to get onto that things. So, but I digress. And that again, as I mentioned this before already, don't get your hypes up just yet, because well, the matter right now is the fact that, well, obviously they now got its release on Xbox One, as you already know. And from what I can tell, the price amount on the forms of, it doesn't matter what country you lived in, specifically United States of America, as well as the European countries, or the UK countries, as what the actual things itself is trying to known for. At the moment right now, these games, as far as, well, first of all, they are both digital download at the moment, so I don't know if they're actually going to be getting ourselves the physical version, unlike the forms of how it does it in the PlayStation 4 versions, as you can probably guys can clearly notice by this point. But excuse me, I do apologize for that disgusting belching, by the way. Oh yeah, by the way, now we're going to be revisiting this level once again, but except now we need to find 5 of those butterflies, which I think they might be actually be one of the trickiest to find, because, well, at least the first 2 is not too hard to find, but the majority of them, however, though, oh my lord, there are gonna be so many of them to be able to be very well hidden when it comes to likely in the actual foreground and occasional background, and yeah, it's just a lot of busy work, I'm gonna tell you for this point, guys, but hopefully, if I do ended up missing one, then I should be able to actually just find a way to able to actually noticing this, but then again, I'm probably not gonna do a jump cut for that point, I will admit though, but either way though, I just want to classify for something, so yeah, I digress. So yeah, specifically for the price amount for the Xbox One version of the rest of the Kingdom Hearts collections. At this point in time, in the US version, we only got ourselves, well, the USA country did manage to got themselves Kingdom Hearts HD 1.1 plus 2.5 remakes, and the cost of that, it was probably $50, which is ridiculously overpriced, considering how the fact that, imagine if the physical version gets its announced, and eventually the actual price should have dropped, right? Well, we'll find out until at some point in the future though, but not now though, because either way though, we've got the actual Animal Crossing New Nintendo Direct, New Horizons Direct, which I might talk about that on Journey Forms of Tomorrow's video, but obviously I'm not going to be too much of a hype fest, unlike the forms of how it does it in, well, specifically Smash Ultimate Direct, despite, at least the first 4 directs for Smash Bros. Ultimate's DLC fighters is actually a pretty strong start, but ultimately weakens in the actual, the final fighter in Fighters Pass 1, as you already know. But, I digress. So, yeah, they managed to able to offer us $50 in the US version of, or the American version of the digital download of that already existed compilation on the PS4 version. And if I compare that to the UK version of that exactly the same game on the Xbox One downloadable version, it was roughly £40. So, yeah, it might be seems a little bit overpriced at some. But that doesn't even compare, however, to the forms of Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue on the Xbox One. Let's talk about the forms of the Americans price first. At the moment at this point, the American version of that particular compilation on the digital download is now being selling for about $60. $60! With that specific already existed game back in 2017 on the PS4. Jeez, that is way overpriced. Well, at least even then, that we got ourselves Dream Drop Distance, which is a much more of a HD port of the 3DS installment, and you know, 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a Fragmentary Passage, which is more likely a tech demo of Kingdom Hearts 3, despite the fact that it might be a little bit more, well, it might be still enjoyably playable in the Xbox One, but it's kind of weird about the fact that if those Xbox already experienced Kingdom Hearts 3 on the Xbox One, and then right after, whenever they try to reveal 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a Fragmentary Passage, while the actual thing was announced from. So, again, it's a little bit weird to able to actually announce something like this, but even then, it just comes across as like, I don't know, time constraints or something, so... And as far as the UK version of 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue is concerned, for the actual price tag, it was actually £47.99, so... Jeez, that's way too pricey. We were expected to believe, if most of the Xbox audience were expected to believe they were able to drop price significantly, but imagine if they're going to be releasing a physical version at some point. But then again though, it's just a little bit more of a predictions more than anything, because you can't really expect of how this things itself to become, but either way though, it's just a little bit weird sometimes, but I digress. So, and as far as everything else is concerned, that's it. Well, at least I did already mention about quite a few things, but still, we have not gotten a single main event out of the way, which is of course the actual official Nintendo Direct, and once again, I have to replay that level all over again because I'm missing one of those remaining butterflies. Oh jeez, it can be pretty hard to spot. Hey. At least luckily though, you can able to actually save those, luckily, unlike the forms of how it does it in, let's just say if you're trying to replay through Shadow the Hedgehog in certain stages, you have to collect all these stuff all over again on new forms of depending on what playthroughs you're in. At least new forms of this game in particular, as well as Yoshi's Woolly World, you can able to actually save your items unless if you're trying to complete the stage and stuff like that, so... Yeah, these are the butterflies I've already just managed to found, but I'm still missing one of them, so, jeez, I wonder where can that be, but then again, I don't think this stage wasn't going to be nearly as long, unless until whenever we get to, the next world, which, by the way, we actually give it a choice, which then again, I'll point it out whenever we get to the very end of this particular video, but I digress. Let's see. Oh, there it is. It's just right over there. And I somehow completely ignored that for about twice. I ignored that twice for the majority of getting that... That might be the only negative thing about this game sometimes, though, is the fact that whenever I was trying to find some of those souvenirs and stuff like that, what this guy will able to force me to tell where that's gone, and most of the time, I never know where it's gone. But thankfully though, we've only got about one more souvenir hunting left in this particular stage, which thankfully was on Monty Mole Be Gone level. Well, I have to admit though right away, it might seems pretty slow as a level, but I'm pretty sure it might actually took me about 3 or 4 minutes depending on time length. So, and I should probably point things out as well, is the fact that, well, there wasn't any score tally system on the actual stage itself on the flip side, because we already done that in the forms of, well, the actual front side. So yeah, I just want to classify that. So yeah, aside from all that stuff though, that's as far as we can say about it. But let's just get into the actual final topic for the sake of today. Despite the fact that I'm still not a big fan of Animal Crossing series as a result, despite the actual concept is still strong even to this day, the only problem with this is, with the actual Direct itself, well, not only just because in existence, but also it once again mainly focuses on one thing only, which as a result, it might drive a lot of people mad at this point right now, because I swear we are really almost empty at this point in 2020's Nintendo's release. And I'm guessing the only thing it needs left now is of course the new release date for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and that way, it should be all sorted, right? Well, that's not enough. That is literally not enough. Which, as a result, where's the new Mario game? Or hell, even the forms of where's more info on Metroid Prime 4, and even especially noticeable with where's the more info on Bayonetta 3, and heck, even with No More Heroes 3, and heck, even with the forms of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel, which then again, Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel already announced it back in E3 last year, so I don't know if what specific stuff we're able to get an announcement with in Journey Forms of E3 2020. I'm sorry for the actual still a little bit more ranting at this point, especially how I don't understand why they still managed to mainly focusing on one thing at will, at most at minimum. But at least even then, at least we still got ourselves the Animal Crossing Direct at least. So all it needs now is the actual, God forbid, the actual general Nintendo Direct. But if not, especially noticeable when it comes to able to waiting for this for a very, very, very long time. And the next day, and the next day, it could really drag. Ugh. Sorry for a little bit of a ranting for this point, guys, but it's just that I'm sick of tired of the forms of one specific stuff-only Nintendo Directs at this point, because the actual key factor about Nintendo Direct, especially with E3 stuff and some stuff like that, they at least offer us some tons of announcements later down the road, especially noticeable how the fact that you can able to see some new stuff on the horizon. But unfortunately, for the sake of time, we're still rather limited as far as it all goes. But either way, though, yeah, that's as far as I can say about it. But I digress. But anyway, we did manage to able to finish up the rest of the souvenir huntings at this point right now for this world, and that pretty much takes care of this entire world within 100% completion. So yes, as a result, he says, I'm out of fresh with those little side quests for now, and this means we are fully done with this particular world. Which I will say, I actually do like this world. It almost kind of reminds me of Wiggler's Garden from the likes of Mario Party DS. So as you can see, we actually have a choice between two split parts, or two split paths. Like you can take a path to Dino Desert, or you can able to go to Pestrial Highway or something like that. I can't really pronounce that specific world's name, by the way, just because I wasn't paying attention. So for the sake of time, we'll go for one world up there, and then we're done with that world, then we can able to move on to the next world, specifically anywhere else. It doesn't really matter what worlds I'm going to be going into, but then again, I'm going to do things a little bit more differently compared to most other Let's Players, so that's why I get the feeling from that. So yeah, I guess we'll pretty much get things off here. So join me next time on Let's Play Yoshi's Crafted World. It's the fact that we might able to move on to the next world in this game, which appears to be Dino Desert. And to kick things off is Dino Smash. So yeah, see you guys until might be tomorrow. So even then, later fellas.